So, Dr. Nagaswamy, this has been a fantastic discussion on the parallels between the Vedic, Sanskrit-based Dharma Shastra and the whole, Sanatana Dharma, and on the other side, the Tirukkural, the Tamil civilization. And we agreed that the languages are distinct and different, and they may have their own relationships, but the ideology and the culture and the way of life that is being described is the same. Now, if this has been the case for all these centuries, and there was never a Tamil literary product which was hating Aryans, so-called Aryans, or attacking Vedic and saying we are different, we are Dravidian and whatnot, how did it change? It happened in the 1800s. So how did it change? Tell us.
I don't think that there has been much change except in the political level.
Okay.
But in the life of the people, whatever we had, it continues. So it is a continuing process. But the colonial rule which came in the south and which took roots in the 17th and 18th century brought many foreign scholars, particularly from Europe, England and so on. And they were interested in understanding the people. And gradually when they captured power, they were also interested in ruling. And so imposing that whatever they have is superior to what we have here in the local people. So when they started reading, particularly the Christian missionaries, we have two examples. One, both of them lived in the middle of 19th century, and one is Father Lazarus. He was fascinated by this. There are others also who were interested in that, but like Ellis. But here Lazarus translated the whole of Tirukkural, and he gave also life history of Tiruvallur as was known at that time in Tamil Nadu. He has given just objective, not a single line he has added of his own, and it's a very nice work, good work. And so we know what Lazarus has given was the lifestyle of Vallur, and also the translations are very closer to the original.
So he's an authentic scholar.
He is an authentic
from
scholar.
Europe,
yeah,
at that time.
Yes, he is an authentic scholar, absolutely authentic scholar. The second one is G.U. Pope.
He's the mischief maker.
He was born in 1840 and then came here. He learned Tamil and a little bit of Sanskrit. At the time of his death, somewhere in 1906, he has mentioned why he learned it. That's more important. And it was almost in his deathbed when he said that we are Christian missionaries and we go there to convert people. And if you want to convert people, you must read their own language and attack them. This is the word he uses in his own statement while dying, that you must attack that culture through their own language, and so he studied it, and also he tried to translate it, which means the intention was not a love of Tamil or now love of language, but only to use it to convert the people into Christianity.
So here I want to remind that a lot of our people are naive, thinking that if Pollock spent his whole life studying Sanskrit, he must really love it. People say that. Wendy Doniger spent her whole life studying our text, so she must love it. And those guys really fool us by going on repeating this, and we buy this. We buy into this. Often you study an enemy. You study the enemy you want to destroy because you really want to understand him. And then, so you're doing Purva Paksha on your enemy, and then you approach him in his own language, in his own style. You wear his clothes and his symbols so you can deceive him in order to make a fool out of him. So G.U. Pope seems, from what you've said, to be on that kind of mission.
Yes. Then he took up earlier, the first by Lazarus was translation was published in 1855, and then next year G.U. Pope published his translation. He doesn't say that there is a translation by Lazarus. He says, I have heard of it, but I haven't read, because it is objective. It doesn't suit his conversion thesis. And there he wants to show that Valluvar was a downgraded man, the local people never respected him, and so on. And he gives a very bad impression about the society, the entire Hindu society, as against Valluvar as a single man who was separate. And then he writes, let me be permitted. I think I quote him very correctly, I may be permitted to imagine that he was a Christian.
Okay.
Valluvar, first of all, he says Valluvar is 9th, 10th century. This date itself is completely wrong.
And he says this date because he wants to show that this happened later after Christianity.
Yeah. No, but there also he was not correct.
Correct,
See,
yeah.
Chronologically, is totally wrong.
Yes,
9th,
yes.
10th century is too far away.
Right.
And the date is about 1st century AD, so
Right.
1000 years later. So he wanted to imagine that Valluvar was a Christian. He has mentioned it, and that he says, this is my imagination. But our people don't read it, what he has written, the original. They say he is a Christian now.
Yeah.
So
So how was his work a distortion? What did he do wrong?
Well, what he said was, he said Valluvar lived in Mylapore in Madras, and he used to go to the seashore. And he said there was one merchant who came from Sri Lanka. His name is Elala Singha. Nobody knows who is Elala Singha. There is no authentic history at all. He creates a new man, Elala Singha. And when he was there on the seashore, Valluvar used to go there daily, and he gave him Bible information to Valluvar, and daily he came back, and whatever Elala Singha said, he wrote it as Valluvar, Tirukkural.
So Tirukkural is a biblical, derived from the Bible.
Derived
according
from
to
it. That is absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
Historically, there is no doubt about it. No historian can accept it, and not even a layman can accept it, because there is incompatibility in time, in knowledge system, and Panchamahayagna. What is this Panchamahayagna?
Yeah, and all the things you mentioned where they are deriving from Vedic sources, there are no such things in the biblical sources.
And then he first started with saying Tamil language and ended up saying Tamil race.
That's the other thing, mischief, trying to show you are a different race.
So you connect that Valluvar, you dissociate Valluvar from Tamil people, Tamil speaking people, and then say they are different and they were all very bad, and Christianity is the only world religion, and so on. When we are talking about Upanishadic statement which thinks in terms of universal ideas, we don't restrict our knowledge to one God or one space or one country. We go beyond everything. You want to make it in smaller and smaller into a small circle of Christianity. It's not a universal religion.
So now please tell us, in his translation, or what he called it to be his translation of Tirukkural, what are some of the glaring changes he makes to suit his purpose?
Pope says everything has been written from Bible in inspiration. So there are, say for example, we have a Kural where you say if this is not there, even the Devas will lose their puja. This is a Hindu concept. Panja Mahayagna is a Hindu concept. We can
So how does he translate the Panch Mahabhutas, the yagnas, the five yagnas?
He says my translation is not true.
The four purusharthas, the four varnas, all of that. How does he translate that into Bible?
In some places, when there is a word andanar, which is used for Brahmana, he won't use the word Brahmana.
So he won't use it.
He just want to isolate them. But he himself has unconsciously said in other places he is a Brahmana. So So too many incompatibilities, and he says that his translation is not true translation, it is only the content of the verse. Then you can write anything about
Anything
the
you want.
content about
So he's like the modern myth makers. We have
That's right.
modern people like Devdutt Patnaik and many of these guys who are doing this in English.
That's
What he
right.
was doing in Tamil, they're doing in English. They're saying we can make up because it's all myth anyway.
That's
So
right.
we can make whatever we want out of it. So they are doing the same kind of distortion. Now,
That's right.
how did G.U. Pope influence future Tamil writers?
I don't think when we start, Tamil people are good, they have been very great scholars till 20th century. Whatever has been said by them are completely at variance with what G.U. Pope says about Tamil culture. So this is only a small group of community or a group of people who used it for what you call power and
Evangelism.
money.
And evangelism, yeah. for
Otherwise, they cannot follow Tirukkural, Tiruvalluvar.
Yeah.
If you are a follower of Tirukkural and if Tirukkural is the Tamil culture, then what these people say is not reflected in Tamil culture.
So there is also some story that people made up that Saint Thomas came and he taught.
Now we have examined this very
But
impartially.
you know the
I
claim.
know the whole
You know
thing.
the claim that Saint Thomas came and he brought Christianity, and Tirukkural is also a derivation of that. There are people writing like that.
Yeah, the point is that we have Eastern Christianity and Western Christianity. You have so many subsects like other Catholics and Protestants and so on.
Right.
We have studied the book, and this story has been introduced from the 15th, 16th century onwards, that Thomas came here. No book in Western part of the world mentions that Thomas ever came to India.
Right.
It only says he went towards the east, and that east is only Syria.
Right.
We have studied that one, and we are quite convinced that there is no evidence to show that St. Thomas ever came to South India.
And nor is there evidence in Tamil talking about him in the early centuries.
There is nothing.
During the so-called period of Thomas, when he supposedly came, there is no
Absolutely.
writing in Tamil
Absolutely,
described.
we have nothing.
And you now also are. Dr. Nagaswamy is many things. He's a scholar of texts. He's a scholar of Natya Shastra. He's also an archaeologist, a very renowned, great archaeologist. So, as an archaeologist, do you know of any archaeological evidence of
Nothing.
St. Thomas?
Absolutely nothing before 16th century.
No claim before 16th
claim.
century.
There is not a single text in Western country speaking about Christ and his movement. It only says he went towards the east, and that east is only Syria, and he never came beyond that. And these are all, the Portuguese were very good in creating stories,
Yeah.
myths.
Yeah.
As we also have some myths, we are also very good in making legends. But we don't believe in legends. We want facts, and we want evidence to show that something has happened. And if you search for evidence, absolutely there is nothing about St. Thomas here in India.
So to wrap up what we have just discussed, what we are saying is, as I understand it, the primary Tamil ancient text, which is sort of considered one of the great contributions of or literature in Tamil, the Tirukkural, is actually very much Vedic, very much linked, maybe even derived. A lot of passages translated. The organizing principles, structure follows the same thing, and the ideas are the same. So you cannot say it is an independent civilization. You can certainly not say it's a hostile civilization, and you cannot place X versus Y, two different in conflict, which is what is now happening. So this attacks the very heart of this whole Dravidian separatism and this whole Aryan Dravidian separatism that is going on. This critique of the Tirukkural by Dr. Nagaswamy is one of the strategic moves that we have to honor. And I would like all of you to buy this book. When is this? What is the launch?
It is almost ready. In another few days it will be.
So when it's ready, we will post an update on our websites and encourage everybody to get a copy, because this will arm you in all your discussions and debates on this particular topic. Thank you so much. It's always, every time I have a chance to see you and interview you, you've come up with another big, great idea. I hope you will continue for many, many years to give us this, these gems that you have unearthed. So you are an archaeologist of physically unearthing things in the ground, but also an archaeologist in a different sense, unearthing the text, what the texts are saying, and taking things out of the Tamil text, the Sanskrit text, comparing them. So it's a very rare kind of combination you have, and I'm very honored to be able to interview you.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk with that.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir.